dark dreamer? It is said that to best enjoy the light, you must first explore the heart and soul of the darkness. We are the artists who create in the shadows, whose dreams are designed to become your reality. I'm Stanley Wiater. Welcome to my world of the dark fantastic. Welcome to the world of dark dreamers. Are you a dark dreamer? Harlan Ellison unquestionably is. Indeed, Harlan Ellison is the most acclaimed and controversial fantasist writing today. He has won numerous awards and international recognition, not only for his brilliant short stories, but also for his screenplays, novels, comic books, anthologies, and assorted collections of essays and criticism. Amongst his more than 75 books are such memorable titles as Alone Against Tomorrow, Shatterday, Deathbird Stories, Stalking the Nightmare, Strange Wine, and Approaching Oblivion. Some have called Harlan Ellison a genius. Others have labeled him certifiable. Harlan Ellison may be neither or both. Harlan recently invited us to his unique home, where he fearlessly railed against the light, the darkness, and all shades of existence in between. Harlan, we recently talked to Gahan Wilson for this program, and he told us that people who are commonly thought of as dark dreamers are really the sweetest, gentlest, kindest people he knows. How do you feel about that statement?
I am not sweet and gentle. Gahan has a very good heart, and he says things like that, and that's all well and good. No, I have a love-hate relationship with the human race. I watch. We have a program here in America called Judge Judy. It is a courtroom, and it is small claims cases that have been brought to television, and you see the actual people. I mean, this is not rehearsed, and they do edit it, but it is the common man, the common woman in their day-to-day pursuit, and you see what the average person is like in this country. And for the most part, with all due respect to the rest of the human race, we are a nation of imbeciles. Bone, stick, stone, stupid, and a bone, a stick, or a stone could probably do as well as most of the people. I have grown to this position, having been a knee-jerk liberal my entire life. I marched with Martin Luther King Jr. from Selma to Montgomery. I worked with Cesar Chavez in the Coachella Valley. I mean, I have been knee-deep in egalitarianism, and the more I see the human race, the more I want to turn it over to the cockroaches. You can't get 50 people in a group where you won't find 30 who think I'm the reincarnation of Genghis Khan, and the other 20 will like me because they know that I have a good heart and I do good things. I try never to jerk anyone around. I try never to lie. I will prevaricate like mad because I know how to make a story sound interesting, but I try to deal with people the way I would wish them to deal with me, and that means very often being blunt. And people don't like that. When I say people, I mean most people don't like that. You tell people the truth, they don't really want to hear it. I was a pain in the ass right from the get-go. There was no way that I was ever going to become a quiet citizen. And I have reaped the whirlwind of that basic nature.
But I'm saying you've always been a pain in the ass, and isn't that wonderful? You've always been. I've been reading you and known you for over 20 years, and I was reading you for 30 years. You've always been a pain in the ass, and I say, why aren't there more pain in the asses like Harlan Ellison?
Because they get shot, son. That's why. Pains in the ass are only tolerated when they're not doing any harm. The minute they get up somebody's nose, pa-boom, they get off. That's the way it goes. Listen, I was thrown out of Sunday school for heresy when I was 5 years old. Heresy, which I don't want to go into that, but I'll tell you a little story. You're watching King Kong, and they're gathered in the captain's cabin, looking at where they're going. And Carl Desmond is telling them where they're going, and they say just go south. And they say, well, there's nothing in these waters. We know nothing in these waters. And he's saying, well, you're going. I have a map. I have the map right here, and here's the map. And they say, well, it's past Sumatra. There's nothing in this latitude. And he says, this map was the only thing that was on the body of the last survivor of a Norwegian bark, and blah, 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 blah. No, did you ever ask, who the hell made the map? Where did the map come from? Atlantis. They always have a map to Atlantis. Where did it come from? The map to the center of the earth. Who makes the maps? This is the story about the little man in the little shop who makes the maps on the day that the mega corporation that bought the corporation that owned his little store comes to fire him. After hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of him making maps of Atlantis and Lemuria and Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden, he comes to fire him on the day he comes to fire him. And when I did this story, I thought, my God, what an obvious idea. Why didn't anyone ever think of this idea before? And it's one of those stories that you know that 100 years after you're dead, people are still going to be saying, remember that story about the guy who makes the maps? And of course, that's just the idea for the story. There's actually a plot in there, and it's wonderful. It's just wonderful to be able to... See, I'm still learning.
Is it still hard to write every day? Is it still joyful? Because I know the aspects of writing, it's always...
It is a long, hard struggle to be able to write the way I do now, and I'm still learning. Absolutely, this is not humility, because as you can clearly tell, I don't do humility very well. I'm still learning how to do it. And sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I get it almost right. I almost never get it wrong, because after doing it for 40 years, you reach a level of proficiency beneath which you do not sink. But every once in a while, you transcend. You find yourself performing above your own abilities, and you stand back in amazement, like an out-of-body experience, and you watch yourself doing it and say, how the hell did I know to do that? Or I'll be at the end of the story, and I'll say, wait a minute, didn't I stick a thing? Yeah, there it is on page 2, and it pays off here, but how the hell did I know that? I didn't know I was going to do it. The onboard computer, this colloid substance, this strange little piece of flesh in your head is so smart. And if you've been storytelling long enough, and you've done it with any degree of affection, after a while...
Obviously, don't get rich doing this, but we'd like to think that 100 years after we're dust, maybe someone will read one of our books. Posterity
is the only reason to do this. If you want to make money, writing is not the way to do it. My God, writing is one of the toughest gigs in the world. And it's like Red Barber said, sure, it's easy. All you got to do is sit at a typewriter, open a vein, and bleed into the typewriter. Well, so you say, well, why do you do it? It's ego and posterity.
Besides the fictional worlds you've created, why do you call your home Ellison Wonderland?
Because it's a bad pun.
Beyond the bad pun.
That's the answer. Why is it? You know, what is it with interviewers? You give, you know, it is a riding the razor's edge. If 20 years ago you asked me why do you call your house Ellison Wonderland? I said, I don't know, because it's a bad pun and it amuses me. And now you come back 20 years later. If I give you the same answer, you say, oh well, he's got it all scripted. It's all down pat. If I give you a different answer, you say, but 20 years ago he said blah blah. The answer is it's a lousy, silly pun, and I like it, and that's why I did it. There's no greater... Sometimes, my boy, a cigar is just a cigar.
All right, so now I know it's just a cigar.
Okay.
Sometimes cheesecake is just cheesecake.
I work a single here, Wiater. Just, you know.
But in terms of this idea, the way I look at it, you've got a few people in the penthouse, most of us are in the basement, and there's a couple of us on the first floor, and some of us will find the elevator and go up.
People have babies. People, found a dynasty. That's what they do. But if you're a writer, you say, all I want to do is leave behind one story. 100 years from now, I want them to be listening or reading A Christmas Carol, or The Gift of the Magi, or The Lottery, or Big Two-Hearted River. Those are famous stories which will live on. And Quentin Crisp, a marvelous aphorist, he said, artists in any medium are nothing more than a bunch of hooligans who cannot live within their income of admiration. And that's absolutely true. We constantly need to be told that we can still do it, particularly if you've been doing it for 40-something years. You need to know that you can still pull the plow. And any writer who says anything other about why they continue to do it, other than they're hoping to beat the clock, is lying. They may be lying to themselves, but they're basically lying, because all the movies that I've missed, all the times I never got laid. I got a T-shirt that says, "Not tonight, honey. I've got a deadline." Yeah. Dinners that I haven't gone to, places that I haven't visited. I never climbed Kilimanjaro because I had a right. I had a deadline. A couple of weeks ago, about 4 years ago, I had a quadruple bypass. I had angina, and I didn't have a stroke or anything. It was one of those. And they found my arteries clogged up, so they reamed out the arteries. They took this. They opened me up, and they took this all the way from my ankle all the way up to my crotch, and they cracked me open like a lobster, and they put my lungs out on this side, my heart out on that side, and they, gave me a new highway in my chest with this vein out of my leg. So a few weeks ago, when I had to do this story that I told you about for United Airlines magazine for Hemispheres, I started getting pressure in my chest, and my wife was worried, and she said, "You got to go see the heart specialist. You just got to go." And I said, not till I finish the story. And she said, "Well, at least go see John Rahm. That's our GP." And I said, "Not till I finish the story." So she called John on the sly, and John called me and said, "You're an asshole." He says, "You got your, you don't understand. You've got your priorities all mixed up." And I said, "No, I don't, John. I'm 66 years old. If I don't know what my priorities are by now, I don't deserve to be alive. I knew exactly what my priorities were. My priorities were, don't go into the grave with that story unfinished, because that story is an important story. You know it is. All you got to do is sit your ass down and write it. But once you have stood at the door of death, which is
where you were.
Exactly, and I mean that's not a trope. I mean, while I was under, the door was open. I saw this door standing open. There was fog on the other side, and this strange figure, this not very pleasant figure on the other side, like that. And I thought, gee, this is really interesting. I mean, I'm having a synonym, a homily, whatever it is, for death. I mean, isn't that amazing? But it scared the crap out of me. I don't scare easily. I'm a fairly tough to scare guy. But when I came out of it, I thought, whoa. I mean, I've never even considered suicide, but I thought, wow, I think I'll stay alive for a while yet, because that was very creepy, and I know very well that I should not be messing around with my health and with the pains in my chest, but I had to write the story. I had to get it done. I had to get it out, and that's because someday, somewhere, maybe I'll have a shot at posterity by that story.
Is the idea, do you think 100 years from now anybody will know how to read?
Well, there's a phrase in Latin, spero meliora, I hope for better things. I have no idea. I have watched in my lifetime, illiteracy, semi-literacy, and the belief in the obscurantus and the idiotic soar to enormous proportions. Every newspaper carries an astrology column, for God's sakes. People watch wrestling on television. They know it's fake, but thousands pay to watch this fraudulent thing and pretend that it's real. No one speaks well in this country. No one thinks well. Everyone believes in flying saucers. They believe in Kennedy assassination hoaxes. They believe Marilyn Monroe was killed by the CIA. They believe in Bigfoot. They believe in Christian stuff. Forget Christian stuff. I don't even want to go near that, because, what do you mean? He dares to say that Jesus didn't walk on water? When the people who died in the cult said the same thing, we're going to be taken away to
UFO.
They say, well, they're crazy. No, Catholicism says the same thing. When you die, you're going to be taken. The rapture will carry you away. All the rest of us heathens are going to burn in hell, but you're going to be taken to heaven. Yeah, right. I got your heaven right here. Oh God, this country makes me crazy, and I can't abandon it. It's my homeland.
It's your homeland.
I have to stay, and they don't love you for being the loyal opposition. They don't love you at all. Burn him at the stake. It's like the last scene of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm the devil to them. Well, fuck them if they can't take a joke. I grow more and more intolerant of the excesses of organized religion, which serves its own ends. Belief is a wonderful thing, and it sustains many people. It also keeps people very gullible, very naive. It keeps them dumb. I like to believe that the human race is godlike, that we are capable of godlike acts. But if we're not asked to be godlike, if we're told that we are nothing but poor, miserable clay and we're going to burn forever, unless we keep saying God, 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 God all the time, why should we ever aspire to being good? Why should we ever aspire to being great? And the great thing about it, the thing that makes me say, well, maybe the cockroaches shouldn't take over just yet, is that every once in a while, there is a good deed performed. There is a kind act. There is a piece of art that is produced that says, yes, this species should be given another chance. There was a news item. A kid in some grade school had a chemotherapy, and they shaved his head bald. Every kid in the class shaved his head bald, and the teacher too. And I heard that, and I said, yes, yes.
There's hope.
That's what the human race is like. Not all of this Hosanna, Hosanna, give me money in my tray.
Ray Bradbury once told me when I've been to his home that he has all these various pieces of art on the wall and various just beautiful things in his house because sometimes they'll trigger a story idea. Is it that simple sometimes?
When I sit down to write and I put on the stereo and I crank it up, I'm there. That's where my mind is. And I go into that world and it's as real to me as the real world. And I create it with what I hope is fidelity. That's what you go for. Not, I don't want it to look real. I don't want real, I want verisimilitude. I want it to seem real. That's the difference. People who write bad stuff, they say, well, it really happened, it's true. I don't want truth. If I want truth, I'll watch a newsreel, for crying out loud. Maybe. If I want fiction, it's verisimilitude. It is supposed to hold up the mirror of life and turn it slightly so you see things from a new angle. That's what fantasy does.
Let's go on to the idea of people who want to be writers. Everyone wants to be a writer. And just to be serious for a moment, do you have advice to people? I mean, talk about the college kids. They must come up to you and say, Mr. Ellison, we love it, we love it. How do you do it? Show it. Where's the magic box? Please tell us how to do it.
I will tell you exactly what I say to them, and I will say it to the audience. In this life, there are three things everybody knows they can do better than anybody else. Drive a car, fuck, and write. They all know they're great at all three of those things, when in fact, all three of those take great skill. Now, when I do a college lecture, invariably there will be some yo-yo. The most frequently asked question is, where do you get your ideas? And I always give the same answer, Schenectady. And people say, and I say, yeah, there's this idea service in Schenectady. I send them $25 a week, and like clockwork, they send me a fresh 6-pack of ideas every week. And invariably, there'll be some asshole who come up afterward, ask me for the address.
I know it.
Okay, so now they'll come up to me, and they'll be wide-eyed, and they're like Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman talking to his brother Ben. The secret, Ben, what's the secret? Diamonds, Willie, diamonds. I went into the jungle, hewed an empire out of the jungle with diamonds, Willie, it's diamond. The answer is, and I give him the truth, you want to be smart, don't read the Bible, don't read the 1 Minute Manager, don't read How to Influence Friends and Make People kiss your ass. What you read is you read the Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes stories. You read the entire canon. They're not that many. You read the entire canon, and you will be smarter than you ever need to be, because every one of them is based on the idea of deductive logic. Keep your eyes open and be alert. That's what all good writing says. Wake up and pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. That's all it is. That's what good writing is. I tell them, if you want to really write, what you should do is you should get yourself an honest job. Not one of these, I'm a computer designer, or I'm a systems analyst. That bullshit thing. And when I'm doing a college thing, I'll have 1,500 people. And I say, how many of you have an actual honest job in which you work with your hands? Nobody who works in computers, raise your hand. And there are 3 people who raise their hand. One will say, I'm a midwife, and someone will say, I'm a housewife, and then someone will say, well, I drive a taxi. Those are honest jobs. Everybody else is sitting on their giant fat asses, eating junk food, and talking to themselves in isolation, and they think it's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank God I'm going to die soon. Yes, I know you're saying we're grateful too. That for you. Anyhow, the rest of you are laughing your asses off, and you're the ones I'm talking to. Anyhow, I say to them, you promise yourself you're going to do 1,000 words a night. Don't go for more. And always quit when you're hot. Never quit when you're cold. Never finish the scene. If you're going to say, and he went to kill her, and he said to her, stop. Stop, and you'll never have a writer's block. Because if you stop, when you come back to write, you're not cold. You're not starting from a dead stop. This is good advice. This is good writing advice. And it's simple. There's no great secret. Trust me on this. There is no great secret. We do not go into the attic at dead midnight with a chamois bag filled with the knuckle bones of an orangutan and cast the runes and magically come down in the morning with a story. We sit there on our ass and write. It is labor, hard physical labor. When you do it, you sweat it out, you write it well, you cut it, you excise it, then you got something. And you got an actual manuscript in your hands, and they don't listen. It's a generation of people, kids, who think everything is they deserve everything. They don't know why they deserve it, but they deserve it. They've been told they deserve it.
They don't even know why they deserve it,
Yeah.
but they deserve it.
They deserve it. And they're pissed off when they don't get it. They're annoyed when they don't get everything without even having to work. Well, hey man, it's not fair. Fuck you, fair. Universe is not fair. The universe... You may like to think there's a God out there watching to see if things are done right, but there ain't no such animal. Trust me, folks. Mark Twain said, if you really believe there is some bearded deity sitting out there in a cloud watching to see if you masturbate or whatever it is, you know, you're going to be very disappointed, because if you do and you look around you at the condition of the world, you are forced to the ineluctable conclusion that God is a malign thug. Well, in truth, the idea is you rule your own domain. You are the only one who is responsible for what you can do. Absolutely. None of these people that you go and you pay thousands of dollars to tell you how to develop yourselves and est and revivify. It's all there. Don't be dumb. The smarter you are, the easier you can live your life. The dumber you are, the more you're somebody's tool. If you're my tool, I'm going to use you. That's what it's all about. But if you're smart, you can get on in life. You can do whatever you want. You want to write? Write. You want to be a brain surgeon? Be a brain surgeon. Sculpt, dance, anything you want to do. You can do it. They keep telling you you can't do it, or there's some secret, or somebody's lucky and you're not lucky. Ain't no such thing as luck. The universe is neither benign nor malign. It doesn't know you're here, kid. It doesn't know it at all. It's turned a blind eye. It's out there busy making the coal sack and making dark spots. It doesn't know you're here. You're going to have to do it on your own. You can't do it on your own? Tough titty.
And fuck them if they can't take a joke.
And fuck them if they can't take a cheesecake.
And the cheesecake. Join me here again on the wild side of the imagination, where a sense of wonder and a feeling of terror can often intersect. You'll find us waiting here, the Dark Dreamers.